Okay, so first of all, what I wanted to say is I can literally do this on the NQ chart as well, but it won't. But NQ is a really good. Yeah, you know what? We'll do it on NQ. Mic mute. No, my mic isn't muted. Did it mute? Not so good. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna do this on NQ for the reason that NQ is actually a really good example, and on top of that, stock market and crypto are kind of linked anyway, right? They're not like directly linked, but if one of the two goes up, the other usually goes up as well. So this exactly this is happening on a lot of alts and a lot of coins, and BTC had it as well. We have several lows. We had ranges being traded for the almost the entire time. If we go on BTC, we have one low, pump up, second low, or what's it called? First low, move up, down, second low, move up. Now we swept that low, we wicked below it, and then close the candles above. This is a textbook swing failure pattern. If I go on to what's it called? If I go on to a new chart, oh yeah, I was memeing someone with this. That was fun. If I go on to a new chart, we can see that this is a really, really clean swing failure pattern. When we mark out the highs and lows on this chart, we could mark this out as a high and this out as a low. I don't really see it, right? So this, in my opinion, is a high. Then this is your low. And then your last high and low are going to be somewhere down here, right? For example, this. This is a clearly uptrending chart on the daily. On the daily, this is a very clear uptrend. So until that uptrend is broken, we should assume that it is more likely for us to go up than down. It's very simple because markets move like this and like this, and trend is always more likely to continue than it is to break. That is why it's called a trend. So when we see something like this, we can assume that BTC is still in an uptrend because there is your high, there is your low. You break that high, this is a higher high, and now we have a higher low. So what can we assume now? Well, if I draw this out like this, essentially what we did is just this. And we are currently sitting right here. So if you look at it like that ladder, it is very likely for us to go up as long as we don't close below this. The moment you close below that, that is when you start having a structure shift. So until that happens, we can assume an uptrend. Okay, that's the second person now. Is it actually good, or is it or do we need to fix something? Can the others hear me okay? Everything good? Clear on my side, okay. I'll move it slightly closer, maybe that fixes it. It fixes it, but I think it's fine. You're likely just gonna have to go into Discord and just change your audio input or something like that. Okay, let's keep going. So this is very clear, basic market structure, right? The way you define market structure is you take an important high, take an important low, then starting from that wick, you just draw a line to the right, and switch off the light in the room and turn it back on again. What the fuck could that even do? Okay, but you draw a line starting from your important high on top of the wick to the right, and if you close a candle above that, that is when you have a break of structure. Now this chart was obviously already uptrending before that, but this in general is how you have a break of structure. So when we look at this chart, we had a very clear downtrend, and then right over here, right over here, we had a break of structure. The moment we started closing candles above that wick, that is when we knew, hey, we are now in an uptrend. So instead of doing this, we're going to start doing this. We're still doing that. If we draw a line from our swing low, so this is our high, this is our low, we take that bottom wick, we draw a line to the right, we only wicked through it. We wicked through it, but close the candle above. When you do that, that does not break market structure. So this chart is still in a daily uptrend. the daily here is still uptrending, and that's very important because the difference between a downtrend and an uptrend is actually what you are going to do. In an uptrend, you want to be long it. In a downtrend, you want to be short it. It's that simple. And on top of that, not only are we still in an uptrend, but wicking below this and then closing above is called a swing failure pattern. You are trying to break the swing low, but closing above it means that you fail to do so. And if you fail to break the low, you are essentially proving, hey, we don't belong lower. We clearly don't accept below this line. Otherwise, we would have closed there because we got there. And then we could push back out of it. Okay, you're gonna... Okay, so some people can hear me, some people cannot hear me. On the Discord app, I can't connect, but on the web app is fine. Wait, I have an idea. I'm gonna restart this. And have anything open? No. Okay, and do it like this. Does that fix it? I think that should make it better, right? Otherwise... Yeah, that's actually the only thing I can do. Yeah, good to me. Okay, the only things you can try and do is just try and restarting it and that kind of stuff. Otherwise, I can't really change anything for you. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. So, essentially, by wicking below this and then closing above, what we're saying is we don't belong below this level. And in doing so, you're also saying something else. Because if we don't belong below this level, if we really don't belong lower than this because we got pushed out of it, then where do we belong? Because we are still uptrending and we don't belong lower. Well, we could only go higher. That is the only other option. So that is why we took this long and we got tapped out on the Newsweek, sadly. Shouldn't have moved up to break even, but to be fair, with aggressive Newsweek like that, it's usually better to do so anyway, just for risk. But in general, you can take a very easy long like this whenever this happens. That is what we did. Sadly, we're not in this long anymore, but this is still what I'm going at. I still think the market's going to go higher, and if we do get back into this area, I will likely look to take this long again. This is a textbook SFP, a swing failure pattern, and these patterns are really nice to trade because you get really good risk reward. Essentially, when you're looking at it on the daily, from a liquidity standpoint, this would be your TP1, this would be your final TP. And would that actually be how we play the trade? No, likely not. We would also use other confluences, like our point of control at 67k. This is always a good TP level. So, in reality, this is the play we're looking at. And yeah, I think SFPs are best on the daily. That is, in my experience, the most reliable, because daily structures matter a lot. The daily structure is what you use on the 4 hour, and the 4 hour is like a very popular time frame. And in general, just closing the day red or green is something people care about a lot. So in my opinion, daily SFPs matter a lot. Yeah, it closes at 1 a.m. on my time. It's not convenient either. Like 1 a.m. is fine, but then with daylight savings, it becomes 2 a.m., which sucks. But yeah. You can do it on other time frames as well, by the way. When we go to the 1 hour, the first long we took was this one, but the market really wasn't sure enough to stay in this one. You can do it on other time frames as well, but if you do it on other time frames, you're gonna have to go. You're gonna have to learn how to read individual candles a bit. For example, this candle is a very textbook doji candle, where you have nice wicks on both sides, and then a very small body closure. This indicates indecisiveness, and showcasing indecisiveness after such a massive downtrend and at a liquidity level after just peaking below such an important level, indecisiveness is essentially bullish at that point. And the same thing the other way around, right? If I invert this chart, this would be a very bearish candle. So if you want to do it on other time frames, it is a bit harder because you also just need to learn how to read candles. Now, if you do trade a lot, you will eventually learn how to read candles. For example, this is a very textbook reversal candle as well. And you will, what's called, knowing how to read candle goes really well with SFPs. But in general, SFPs are just a really good setup to trade. But for that reason, I think the market's still going to go higher. I still think BTC is going to go higher. Now, I know the monthly candle looks absolutely disgusting. I mean, this is a monthly reversal candle, essentially. This candle is very bearish. So I doubt that we reach all-time high again. However, I do think BTC looks good. And since BTC looks good, this, what's it called? Yesterday, I went to BTC Dominance and I wanted to check what was going on. So when we look at BTC Dominance and we take into account that BTC looks good, BTC looks good for upside. BTC Dominance has accepted back below this bearish 5-0. Now, this is a bearish harmonic. Essentially, if you don't trade harmonics, all you need to know is that this is now resistance. These little boxes I have on my charts are both support and resistance zones. So in this case, since we dropped below it, got one retest in, and we're currently looking to retest it again, this looks good for downside. And if BTC Dominance is going to go down, that means alts are overperforming compared to BTC. And we know that BTC looks good in general. We know that BTC is likely to go up. So if this also completes the bearish retest, this is likely going to go down as well, which means alts are going to perform better. And that is why most of our positions right now are into altcoins. That is why I was looking at strong altcoins in general. I was looking at IOV, for example, when, what's it called? When the daily candle closed like this. Like it closed green on a day where BTC dropped like 7 or 8%. And that is why in general we have a lot of positions active. We are in TIA spot, for example. Wait, where's my charts? Out of the recent positions, I'm not going to go into everything. We're still in say, we took a lot of profit, so we're slightly below average, but we have a lot of room to DC and we're still in profit overall. The OEM almost back. TIA is back in profit. So in FED also back in profit and still in STX. So that is one of the reasons why we're still in a lot of positions, because overall I think BTC is confirming that it looks really good. That SFP is showcasing a lot of strength. And BTC Dominance in general looks bearish. So for that reason, so essentially we're positioned for that. And I will say this can change very quickly. Because what we did over here, marking our market structure, right? This being the high, this being the low, and this now being our new high. Well, new high, essentially this is still our high, this is just on a lower time frame. So with this being our low, essentially, what we're doing is we're saying if you close a candle below this, and since we just SFP'd it, I personally always take the SFP wick. If we close a daily candle below this level, all of that changes. If that ever happens, my entire thesis changes, and at that point, I will assume a downtrend. So, essentially, we either start going up here, or we switch to a downtrend, and that would be very bad. So, which is never a nice area where you want to take risk, because the thought of adding risk in right before possibly going into a massive downtrend is never nice. However, it is also the best area to do so, because when you think about it, when we look at this candle, right, that's where we entered long positions. When you look at this, well, when you think about it, this is your entire invalidation. So adding risk here isn't that risky at all. Because at max, let's say you just risk percentages, right? At max, you would risk 1.6%. Now, let's say the daily closes like a bit lower, but it's still like 3%. You're not risking much. Well, already at CMP, you're already risking almost twice as much. So even though areas like these are the areas where you never want to be adding risk, they are usually the best ones. Because invalidation is so close, a single candle close below this would invalidate your entire thesis. But that also means if that happens, you just cut. And you get out of your positions with like a 5% loss. And a 5% loss on a spot position is nothing. That is completely manageable, especially compared to the upside. Because your upside targets are likely going to be somewhere over here, which is just taking BTC 10%. That's already 2 risks to reward just taken from like all the way down here. And when you take it literally on here, it's 6.7 risk to reward. At what point do you start layering back into alts? I already am. I am like, what is it, 70% allocated or something into alts. Everything's sitting either slightly above entry or very slightly below it. I added most of my risk exposure because we exited almost everything over here. Because we went into a swing short here and exited almost everything. I've been adding exposure back over here in the downtrend. So right now our STX play and DYM play are at full allocation. TIA isn't yet. I'm doing this out of the top of my head, right? I have it all written down somewhere, but for the stream I don't have it in front of me. TIA isn't yet. Say isn't yet. FET isn't yet because we took profits and we're waiting to add it back in. Same with Hook. Hook isn't at full allocation yet. Yeah, so it should be like 65 to 70% or something. So I am layering back into alts. So, and the simple reasoning for that is, if we don't hold here, we go a lot lower. So we either hold here and enjoy the profits, or we invalidate the entire bull thesis. Because the moment we break into a daily bearish structure, I would assume a downtrend. And considering how the higher time frames look, that would likely mean a lot lower. And what I mean by that, I will say it once, because I don't want to scare people, right? But I will just say it up front. If daily structure is lost, because in general I think the markets are good, right? I am in general bullish on the markets at the moment. But if we close a daily candle below this wick, then I will assume a lot lower. When we look at the monthly, this monthly candle is very bad. This monthly candle is very bearish. When we look at harmonics, we have a bearish AB equals CD right over here. When I take a trend-based fib, that is going to be our 1 level, and this should be at a 224. So essentially this is a reversal area. AUC is at the top. This is a reversal area. So we have a very high time frame bearish harmonic. This is a macro bearish harmonic, right? This is from the bear market lows to what we currently have. And we are showing a very bearish individual candle right over here. So on a very high time frame, this looks bad. This looks really bad. I would absolutely short this, which is what we did. But dim it down to the daily, and the daily is still looking really good. The daily still looks really good. But if that ever changes, by closing a daily below this line, that's when I will assume a lot lower. And what do I mean with a lot lower? Well, there's one macro bullish harmonic on this chart. There's only one. And that one, let me hide this for clarity. That one is right over here. So that is also why I don't always open with that, for the reason that that is a lot lower. So I will say, if we ever lose daily structure, I think there is a very good chance that we get 62k. We're not there yet, right? The daily is still on an uptrend, so is the weekly, so is the monthly. But if we lose daily structure, I think there's a very good chance we get 62k. Because when you look at this, there's nothing here. There's actually nothing. You can argue that there's fair value gap. Well, fair value gap is literally nothing. It literally means that nothing has traded there. So why would any structure hold there? When we look at fair value gaps in general, Well, there's an FEG right over here. Didn't hold. There is an FEG right over here. There's one held, right? One more right over here. Didn't hold either. So I don't consider fair value gaps at all. So for that reason, there's nothing here. It's a way lower. If we close daily, if we close the daily candle below, what is it, 91k, I will assume that there's a very good chance that we get this. Until then, I think we're uptrending. I think marks are good. But if that happens, I will assume a lot lower. Because, what's it called? Macro harmonics don't often form. Especially on the monthly, we have literally only had one in the past, and that was this one. That was this cipher right over here. Because these really just don't form often at all. But when they do form, they tend to play out. So for that reason, I'm being very cautious. Alright, so that's my general market outlook. A bit more chaotic than usual because I want to get on with it and I want to look at some tickers. So, because we think the market's going to go up, I want to be looking at some coins. I think altcoins are going to overperform overall. So let's look at some altcoins. And if luck would have it, it appears that people in streams are always really good at altcoins. So if you have an altcoin you want me to look at, put it in chat and we'll go over it and we'll see if we can get some entries on it. Yeah, that is a good suggestion actually. I'm actually looking at that as well. I think it's on this layout. I am looking at that. I have a play marked out. I'm not sure if I want to take it yet. But it's like, I'm very close to taking it. Yeah, we can look at say. We have an active play on that. Well, we're not in it yet, but I gave the signal. Okay, let me actually, where's the new watches again? Create new list. Stream. Okay, so one and say, and I will add to these when we get through it. Okay, so let's start with the frog first. So when we look at this, because I like this ticker gets suggested every stream, so I already have it charted. When we look at this, in general, we have a very nice bullish Gartley. I think this chart looks really good because not only is this a bullish Gartley, but it has really nice ratios on it. Let me actually pull a cheat sheet up on the screen. So when we look at patterns, this is a Gartley essentially, and what we're saying is, hey, 0.603, that is essentially 0.618. Same thing. Then we have an A to C in between the 382 and 8886. Then when we pull our X to D point to the 786, because that is where our Gartley is, we check our B to D point and we see, hey, that fits. That is also just a 1.618. So these ratios, not only are they, what's it called? Are they correct? Not only can we assume that this is a Gartley, so a bullish pattern, but these ratios are all very, very close to like the perfect ratios. It's not like this is going to be, this isn't like a 0.5, what's it called, 0.59 or something. And this is very close to a 1.618, which is really good. So in general, I think this chart looks fantastic. I really like this chart. So in general, I think it looks really good. Now, when we look at this, you can see that exactly what I explained earlier on the BTC chart has also happened on the frog. We have a very important low right over there. That is our daily low. And we wick through it, then close the candle above. That is a very good sign of strength. So I think this coin looks really good. Now, the only thing that I don't like about this is when we zoom in, you can see that we formed another low over here, another wick that didn't actually take the last one. So in theory, you now have multiple stop losses right over there, which could just get wicked out again. So for that reason, we're not in it yet. Because I was looking at this coin in the first place, and I was like, well, this would be the play, but yeah, there might be a lot of stop losses there, so I don't know if you want that. and leaving a lot of room is going to really mess with your risk to reward. So in general, I really like this coin. I think if you want to get into spot, I think this coin is really good. I think this is a good place to enter as well. And you just cut the moment you close a daily candle below this wick. So daily close for stops. And essentially this would be your play. And the technical targets for the harmonic, I always use the 0.214 as well. But in general, these are the technical targets for the harmonic. So for a spot play, I think just getting into the frog now, I think makes a lot of sense. I think this coin looks really good. As for leverage, I am not sure yet. Spot play. Because for leverage, we have to deal with these stop loss as well, right? There's multiple wicks there at almost the same spot. So the chances that we just wick down there to take out those stop losses and then go up is also there. And I really dislike using soft stops on leverage. So as for spot, I think it's really good. I think you can literally just enter right now. You have very tight invalidation. You have a 10% stop loss for 126% at your first TP. Now, if you actually get that, unsure, but that is a technical target. So there's a very good chance we do. Now, I will actually, because I'm going to post a screenshot as well, I always include the 214, so I'm going to include it here as well. So that's still going to be 70% for a TP1. I think this coin looks really good. Right, let's actually look at the fans as well. Yeah, that might be... see, that's the thing for leverage. For leverage, we might have to do something like this, where we put our stops like right below that fan. Because what if we actually get there? Like, you're just gonna get wicked out. But it would still be very valid. So there's a good chance if we take this on leverage that this is gonna actually be the stop. And then we just do it like this. So it looks really good. In general, I think what's it called? I think Soul meme coins are at a point where no one is gonna like buying them anymore. But almost all of them have actually like tapped macro harmonics. So almost all of them actually do look really good. Even though no one wants to buy them at these prices. Because when you look at this, like when we look at the whip, there's a massive bullish bat. Absolutely massive. And we're reacting off of it as well. This is literally over the entire range, right? And you can see the last few times that happened. Because these are only macro harmonics. There's no small time frame stuff in this chart. That's what this layout is for. Last time that happened, well, there's your bullish garbage. Right over there. What happened? We got a massive bounce. Last time we had a bearish bat was right over here. What happened? We got a massive drop. And we are once again at a massive bullish bat. So I think Soul meme coins in general, no one wants to buy them at these prices, but I think they look really good. Not necessarily. More or less, yeah, but meme coins also do tend to just outperform overall. So yeah, it is good for meme coins if Soul does good, but in the case of meme coins, it is not 100% needed. These sometimes do individually just decide to outperform. That's why meme coins are so nice to trade. Because these will, more often than not, just behave on their own, which is really nice. But with has that, right? Or if you guys want a clean chart, very simple. This, and I pull it down to the 886. There's your level. It's actually, I think it tapped exactly. That's actually really nice. Let me I don't think I have an 886 on the chart, on this layout. Essentially, that is your entry. And we are still very close to that, right? And validation is really clear too. If you start losing this and start building below it, that's when you cut. So you have really easy invalidation. It's literally, if you get a bearish retest, 5% on the meme coin. That's really good. So in general, not only Frog looks good, I think Soul meme coins in general look good. And because I said multiple, let's look at Popcat as well. When we look at Popcat, we can see this is not full chart. Yeah, when we look at Popcat, we can see the same thing. Now, Popcat hasn't actually reached this yet, so I think this one can go slightly lower, because we just barely retested this. But Popcat is very close to that same pattern. So if Popcat gets there, same story. Could you check Sui? I will add it to the list. Where is it? Oh, wait, usual as well, right? So in general, I think it looks really good. Wait, let me go back to width as well, post that screenshot. And these are the technical targets for it. Invalidation is using this. I posted this on Twitter a while ago. It was somewhere over here. So I already have the chart ready. Okay. Let's see. I'm just gonna favorite this. Make it easy. Say first. So as for say, I want to go over say specifically because a lot of alts look like this. A lot of alts are almost identical to what say looks like. Okay, so when we look at alts, what you will see a lot is alts have been downtrending for a very long time, right? Every single time we had a low, this was our last low, right? This was the last high. We broke that low and we have been downtrending. Now, every single alt has now broken that downtrend. Well, not every alt, right? But the alts we should be looking at have broken that downtrend. So what have they done? Well, this is our low, and we made a higher high. So we are now uptrending. So overall, we went from doing this to doing this. So we should be looking for longs every time we come close to the bottom. So how do we know if that is the case? Well, first of all, this is our low. It's a very important low. And we got close to that level, but we haven't fully broken it yet. Or we didn't fully get there yet. But we are getting very close to that level. We're getting to the point where even if we make data or invalidation, well, even to that level, that is a 15% stop. That is manageable. It is still a bit wide, right? But that's manageable. That is okay. Because validation would just be closing the daily below that, because that would turn you back into a bearish structure. Now, when we have coins like that are getting very close to their swing lows, to the low that matters for being in an uptrend or downtrend, we want to be looking for plays. In general, I will, of course, be looking at harmonics. So do we have any harmonics on this chart? Well, we do. We have a very clear M shape right over here. So there's two of them here. There is a Gartley right over here, and there is a it's called an anti-shark, essentially just deep Gartley, same thing, right over here. So these lines are both very important levels. And what did we see? Well, we have wicked below that level, and we are now reclaiming it as support. That is what we're doing over here. We tapped it once, went for a good run, had a good reaction. Now we're tapping it again, went below it briefly, went up again, and now we're retesting it back as support. This looks really good. So in general, per se, I think this is gonna I think this has a good shot at getting a good run. What am I looking for targets? Where's my TP one? Same thing as per usual. These are essentially the targets. Now I will usually include this, so these are the targets. However, since we know that we are uptrending on the daily, we don't have a really good reason to assume that we will not make a higher high. Because overall, we are still uptrending. So for that reason, if we actually get the trigger for a long, right? Because we're waiting for an entry. But if we actually do get that trigger, the final TP is likely gonna be this level right over here, right below that right above that A point. So in general, for say, we are both in a spot position and we're looking to enter a long position. More or less, if I wasn't in a spot position, I would enter one like this. With these being the TPs. I think say in general just looks really good. Because overall, you have literally everything going for you. BT is at support and just confirmed it has support and just confirmed that it accepts higher. Say itself is still uptrending, has a really good bullish pattern. When we pull up the RSI, we can see higher highs on the RSI. Well, what's it called? Just go on to the daily. Higher highs on the RSI, lower lows, or higher lows on the RSI, lower lows on price action. This is called a bullish divergence, so you have a bullish divergence as well. You have everything going for you. So I think this chart looks really good. Now, this is a soft stop. It is a soft stop on losing this on the daily, so closing a daily candle below it. So I would leave some room to DCA, but in general, I think this looks really good. So this is what I'm looking at for say. Wait, I already posted that. I just delete that one. That is what I'm looking at for say. And we're also looking at this position if we get the trigger, which is the exact same pattern, right? Exact same pattern, but just on a burp chart. And we're looking for a break and flip of this level. If we get that, we're going to enter a long position, and we have nearly the same TPs. Gonna look to try and see if we can actually take it up to that 113. Just add that as well. Just like that. We haven't gotten the entry trigger for this yet, but if we do, I will update this as well with the TPs. Okay, that is it for today. I'll post this one as well, but this one's also just in my channel. So I'll do usual first because Ryan suggested it first. Okay, so how I would enter this, Ryan, is like this. So this your bullish harmonic, right? Once again, a guarding. As you will notice, whenever you have these streams, whenever you look at a time frame, there's usually the same harmonic in all of them. In this case, it's a guarding. So most charts are gonna have a guarding. But yeah, let's look at this. Essentially, this is your most important area of support and resistance. Let me draw the other one out as well. However, guardlies have two levels usually. When we look at X2A, they form something at the 886 and they form something at the 786. So when we draw the entire harmonic out manually, what we will see is that we will get several very confluent levels. In this case, we can see a cluster at the 786 right over there. Essentially just drawing down to that. Let me actually up there. And as you can see here, we have a ton of fibs in that exact same spot right over there, over at that deep guarding. So essentially, those are the levels we're looking at. Now, I know you were already in a long. I would personally not enter here. What I would look for is if we go back up and flip that 886 into support, because that's the top of this box. If we flip that into support, that's when I would consider a long. And then what you can do is you can do a few things. First of all, these would be your technical targets. Right up till there. Now, this currently is currently resistance, because as I said at the start of the stream, these boxes are both support and resistance areas. So this is currently resistance. However, if we get above it, it's going to be a very strong support. So what you can do, if you're in that position and you decide to enter a long or add to your long once you get up here, is TP here once we get it. Then if we actually flip it back to support, you can just add it back, because that is also just a bullish harmonic. So the moment you flip that back into support, that is just another bullish harmonic that you now have below you as a way of extra support. That's giving you a lot of confirmation if you do that. So quite frankly, I think this chart looks pretty good. You're already above the 618, the 1.618 right over here, right? That's the bottom of this box. We're already above that. If I zoom in, yeah. If I zoom in, you can see that we flipped it to support over here. So already above that. If we now also get above the top of that box, get above that 0.886 right over there. Oh. Going to move that, you can see there's 0.886. You can honestly just add. There's no reason to TP if you get up there and flip it to support. That's honestly just a place you can add. Then your actual TP is likely going to be this. And you're going to add it once again once we flip it to support. Now that's 0.382 and 618, those are going to be actual really good TP levels. But in general, I think this looks good. I think it's also really convenient that you're already in a position. Because this is a place where you would like to enter, but it's just a bit awkward. Because you're going to have a wide stop, or you're kind of entering on a retest, or it kind of just doesn't feel right, you know? But if you're already in a position, it looks really good because you can just add up. That's just scalping. So in the scalp position, yeah, I will turn that into a swing. That is a really good position. But in general, even if you're not in this position yet, right, your first TP would be 0.9 hour away. That's fine. It's completely fine. And then these would be the other TPs. In general, this is a pretty good, the chart looks pretty good. Now, let's see what the fans look like. Fans are not giving us anything useful. Yeah, I like this chart. Yeah, you can go lower. But to be honest, considering that we're flipping this into support, as long as you're staying above the Gardley, I don't think you're going lower. That is also why the stop is here, right? This should be the bottom. If it's not the bottom, then we're likely going to go lower. Then we're likely going to go to the top of this fan, or to the bottom. So, if I draw it again, which ones are it? 2051, 2059. So this one's lower. If we do lose this, there's a good chance we get over to this fan. But in general, this should be the bottom. Considering that we're flipping the bottom of that Guardi back into support. Now, if you do actually want to use the fan, I don't usually say this because I assume that no one here uses fans, right? But if you do actually want to use this, if you get to the bottom of this is in general going to get a really good reaction on the first tap. You can see that every time it went below a fan level like this, it just goes up, gives you a reaction. Goes up, gives you a reaction. Every time you do that, you get a really nice move down. So this is just a drop below the fan. If you now go up, that's just going to be a bearish retest. So if you want to use the fan, yeah, you should absolutely TP this, for sure. I'll place a little blue line on this for you. TP1. This is just drawn from the, what's it called? I'm gonna make the screenshot as easy to follow as possible. From this point to this point. That's a good way of saying it, actually. TP when shit hits the fan. That's very true. That's a really good way of saying it. I'm gonna remember that. Okay, Sui first. Sui's up 10% on the day. It's insane. Okay, when I look at this, because first of all, the weekly time frame this isn't really chartable for me, right? When I look at harmonics. I can, let me just test something. Let's try and see something first. No, okay, even when I go on logarithmic, I've been experimenting with drawing harmonics on log scale, but even then there's nothing here. So I'm just gonna zoom in. Now when we zoom in, there is a very, very obvious W shape right over here. Instantly, when I look at a chart and you see something like this is likely a harmonic. So let's draw it. Right over there. And we can see the moment I place my X, A, and B, that this is a 0.54. That can only align with a bat or similar harmonics to a bat. Now, a bat ends at X to D 0.886. So that would be right over here. Essentially where we are at right now. So Sui, I wouldn't enter anything here for the reason that this coin is really strong, but this is a bearish harmonic, so I wouldn't enter it. Now, you also already have some bearish divergences right over there. There's your high on the RSI. This is a lower high, while price action is making a higher high. So to be honest, this coin looks good for shorts. Wait, let me actually draw it out. Now, if you want to be shorting Sui, that is an entirely different question, right? Because Sui is very, very strong overall. So if you actually do want to short that, that's a completely different question. However, this is a very confluent level. Oh, if this happened just a bit earlier, we would have actually caught that. What's it called? There's your bat. And there's also a Leo at the 786, so I'm going to mark that out as well. There's your Leo. So, essentially, that is what I will be looking for. And last one, anti-shark right over there. So, when I look at this chart, I see two possibilities. First of all, once again, I know these are all random names and you're probably very unfamiliar with it. Very easy to read. Support and resistance, support and resistance, support and resistance. So, where are we currently? Well, we are currently at resistance. It's that simple. This is your resistance, this is your support. Essentially, this is just an area where you don't really want to be trading. This is not something we can actually trade. What I would be looking for is, if we flip this to support, you will be able to take a long. Now, I would likely just place my stop loss right below that Leo and try and take it at least to the top of that anti-shark. My first TP would be this, which isn't 1 RR, but it's fine. Second TP would just be that, and then you can take it up higher. Because in the end, this is just in price discovery, right? Sui is just in price discovery, so there's no reason to full TP as your first target. Now, if you want to get a bit better RR, you can also say, hey, there's a really nice order block over there, because this is very likely to close engulfing, right? So you will be able to take it like that. In general, I would probably take it like this. Let's see, what would my final TP be? Probably just a 1.618 of that move, so right over there. So that would be my long. If we flip that to support, I would take a long there. Now, I said that this coin looks good for shorts, and that's because it is harmonic, right? This is a bearish harmonic. If we flip to support, we can absolutely take it. However, I think price can go down here. I think if this was any other ticket than Sui, I would say this is going to go lower. So, for that reason, if we do break down and we flip this Leo back into resistance, I would absolutely take a short. Just like that. Let me just move this one. Can I not do that? No, I can't. I would absolutely just take a short like that. If we get a breakdown below and then retest it back as resistance, so let's say you get an entry right over there, I would absolutely short it. And likely just to the bottom of this. So it's at a very good area, actually. I think both of these plays would be really nice to do. In general, because of the RSI, I would tend to shorts, but because this coin is so strong, I would tend to longs. So I would just let price action decide what we want to do. Because this is just in the middle of two places, right? This is just going to chop. But if one level breaks out and actually gives you the retest, so not just a breakout, but it actually has to give the retest, that's when I would enter. NTPs would likely just be based on liquidity levels right over here. Also have some technical targets. I can give some estimates. Yeah, so let's just move that to the technical target. 618 over there. Technical target, if this bounces here, the last one would be a 113. So, looks good for shorts, looks good for longs, depending on what price action is going to do. I think either of those would be really good plays once you have the confirmation. I'm going to actually, I don't even know why, but I don't even have Sui on my trading list. So let me actually add that. Okay. Yeah, this looks good. I really like this actually. This is an area where you can really easily take positions. Well, once it breaks out, because this is just chop. Okay, and then last one. I'm gonna make today's stream a bit like kind of quicker than usual because I've still got a lot to do. So I'm gonna. Okay, I'm actually gonna do Taunt, and then I will take one more request. Two if it's really good. But in general, I'm gonna take one more request. Taunt and then +1. So let's do that first. Let's look at Taunt. It has been a while since I looked at this chart. We exited at a really good moment, actually. We full closed over here. That's really nice. Okay, let's look at this. First of all, okay, I don't use traditional TA, right? I can obviously see it on a chart because I obviously also came from traditional TA. So when I look at this, I want to point out there's a very obvious. First of all, there was a head and shoulders over here. Didn't play out. It's a very obvious cup and handle over here. So I want to point out if this ever breaks down below and gives you that retest, this is the easiest short up. It's a really easy short. You also just have nothing but air below it. Now, do I think that's going to happen? No, likely not. But I do want to point this out because this chart, if that ever happens, will literally take months probably. If it does, really good short. Now, let's look at what I'm better at. That's harmonics. So, that doesn't form anything, but Tron in general has this habit of not actually using that high, but using this one. I don't know why that is. So, start up here. That is an uncompleted bearish butterfly. And let's draw this one as well. And that is a bullish bat. There's a chart that I traded quite a bit in the past over here, right? So I know of these two already. So This one looks really good in general. I think this looks good for upside simply because you've been using this area support so much. So in general, I think this looks good. But I want to see a bit more recent stuff. So let me actually just remove these two. We know that they're there. We don't need to keep them. Let's look at this. Well, I don't like what I'm seeing here. We have another bullish bat, or an uncompleted bullish bat. So that is one of these. And these are very special. The reason for that is because, as you can see, a bat has an X to B usually of 0.5. Now, 0.5 is a level we care about a lot because it indicates mid-range. It indicates the middle of something. Being above the middle is very good. Being below the middle is very bad. It's that simple, right? When you are in the middle of a range, you want to be buying at the bottom. You want to be selling at the top. So as long as we are below this B point, and I'm gonna just also mark out the zero, like the actual 0.5 real quick. As long as we are below this point, right over here, I think there's a very good chance we get lower. Yeah, move that to the 886. I think there's a very good chance we get lower. Now there is a bullish bat right over here. The bullish bat starts at the 886 right over here, and the lowest part of PRZ is going to be the 224 right over there. So this is your bat. So when we look at this, as long as we are below this level, below this box, I will assume lower. But if we touch this, I will assume higher. If we somehow flip this to support, that would be really good. And I think that's good for longs. But in general, I think this is going to go lower because we are currently building below that 0.5 level. So I would absolutely look for shorts here on a retest. I think that's good. If you get a retest of that and you are showing some candles that just wick within it, and you just start building here and start dropping lower, or just wick within and then close below, I think you can easily take a short. And then you just turn that into a long right over there. Where would you put your stops? Either right below the wick if you want to play it a bit risky, or you put them a bit lower. I would likely just put them below the wick right over here. And you just TP the levels over there. We haven't actually formed the bottom yet, right? So I cannot pull a fib to give you levels. In general, I would absolutely TP this B point. And then you would likely take some profits here as well. That's TP on these wicks. That's what I would look at for Tom. I think this is a very good level to look for shorts. This is a good level to look for longs. Yeah, for sure. Ton's a good suggestion, actually. I haven't looked at Ton in a very long time. Even though this coin is really nice to trade. Alright. I will do one more ticker. Let's get one more. Trim. Is that a ticker? Oh, Tron. Oh, I mean TRX, right? Let's actually look at this one first. Because I do have a chart ready for this. Wanted to take that short. Oh, I did actually make a lot of profit. That's okay. I know this chart is hard to follow, probably. But I want to look at this a bit. Yeah, okay. Does Binance have the full chart? No, it does not. So I will have to go to a different layout. Where's this chart? Is it just me or is this layout zoomed in? When I right click, it's really large. Whatever. Okay, so first of all, when we look at this chart, a lot of people don't even know that this exists because a lot of people just look at the Binance chart. But it's a very nice area to use because this makes for a lot of really nice harmonics. So when we draw this, when we draw our X or A and or B, we can instantly see that this is essentially 0.618. It's very close. It is exactly within tolerance. 0.588 is the maximum it's allowed to be. So when we look at that and we draw our next point, see that our A to C is exactly 786. This coin reacts really well to harmonics in general. This coin is really nice to trade. So this will form a bearish Gartley. Now, what we're currently doing, and that's why I wanted to look at the other chart first, is this bearish Gartley, we are currently trying to flip this to support. This is a very old and important level that we are currently trying to flip to support. So genuinely, the chart looks good. This is a chart I would long. This is absolutely a chart where I would look at this and be like, okay, well, I wanna start looking for longs here. Your second level would start over here. That is your 1.618 out of the deep Gartley, so to the 886, your 886 is right over there, right? So essentially, this would be your deep Gartley. Oh, there's a deep grab. Deep Gartley. Let me draw out this one as well. That's not even a box, honestly. That's just literally this level. Gartley right over there. So when we draw that, we get a really nice range. I think this in general looks really good. Essentially, this is likely just a range now until one of the sides is broken, right? So if you want, I swear this became bigger, or my eyes just started working differently. But I might be going crazy. Okay. Essentially, what you want to be doing is whenever you get to the bottom of this, you want to be longing, and you just long on reactions, right? Because this is too wide to use as a stop. So you would wait for a reaction, then enter on that. So in this case, just to give it as an example, right? What I mean with that is you would not actually have this as an entry. What you would do is you would wait for this candle to close and then enter on that. Slightly worse entry, but a lot more confirmation. That's a trade-off I often go for. So you just want to be looking for those types of longs where you kind of wick within this. You close above and you can enter. And on the upper side, you want to do exactly the same thing. You want to wait for a reaction within, and it reclaims, closes below. And then you can look for shorts. In this case, you could actually just use these highs as a stop. I'm just gonna, for simplicity, just use the second high. I think this is just gonna range for a bit. This just looks like a range. Until either side breaks, I think you can trade this as a range. That's my take on TRX. And then, of course, if either side gives you that bearish retest, you will also just look for a short, right? That's how ranges work as well. So let me actually move that over here to make a kind of a full guide of how you would play this. This is how I would play this. This is how ranges. I actually gave a class on that a really long time ago. But essentially, this is how ranges are often formed. is when you have two harmonics, two bearish harmonics that are very close to each other, that are both getting respected on a high time frame, and you just start ranging in between. Those are very nice moments to trade because you can just trade this over and over again. So this is how I would trade that. We'll mark it out as Tron as well. So the current long is already gone, right? This is not something we can enter anymore. But if you get a nice reaction to the upper part of this range, you can absolutely take it. So yeah, I think it looks really good. But in general, when we look at most tickers, I think most tickers look really, really good. I think almost every ticker is just ready to start actually uptrending again. Because genuinely, almost every ticker. Does anyone remember that post a really long time ago I made that said every single altcoin has harmonics like 50 to 60% lower? Almost every altcoin has tapped it. Almost every single altcoin, whenever I go to a chart that I've already charted, every altcoin has now tapped their harmonics. There we are at the bottom of that chart. When I go on swap, there we are, bottom of that harmonic. Atom is back at the bottom of this range. AVEX, well, AVEX is just form 1 because AVEX is so much stronger. But whenever you go to charts like these, almost every ticker has actually tapped it. Ape's front running it, sadly. So, I think in general, everything looks good. I think everything looks really good. Okay, but that's going to be it for me today. A bit of a shorter stream than usually. Usually I stream for like 2.5 hours or something. I stream really long for some reason. But I still need some stuff to finish. So that is going to be my stream for today. I want to thank everyone for coming. And I do want to say I am reopening my classes for next week. For anyone that wants to join in for the mentorship. If you are interested, send me a DM. It's going to start next week. I'm going to open public signups on Monday. So if you want to get in, because there is a limit, I keep the class really limited. If you want to get in, send me a DM before that, and I can keep you a spot. But that's why I wanted to say it, so Unity gets like a few spots before everyone else does, before I make it public. So if you are interested in private mentorship, send me a DM and I will send you all of the extra info. But in general, I think that was it. If you guys don't have any questions left, then we can end the stream here, and I will see you guys again next week. And let me end the recording as well. All right. See you later, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evenings and weekend and whatever you want to do.